I got into solopreneurship for the same reason most of us do. I wanted more control of my time. I wanted more freedom. I wanted to do work that I wanted to do and work with people that I wanted to work with. The idea of solopreneurship was really sexy to me because I envisioned this business where without any employees, I could cherry pick clients and make $1 million a year, living wherever I wanted to. So that's the path that I started down. And in many respects, solopreneurship delivered on much of that promise. Like I was able to drive $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month as a consultant and a coach and doing fractional work as a service provider. The problem was the dog caught the car. When the dog caught the car and I started driving revenue, I started to hit a wall. And the wall that I hit was when you are selling services, every new client, every new sale requires work. There's a marginal impact every time you make a sale with the client. You have to do a delivery. You have to execute on the work that you sold. You also have to do work to get clients, right? Like I was creating content, I was putting stuff on LinkedIn, I was creating videos. It takes work to capture what your marketing creates. In other words, sales. You're going to take those sales calls. That takes time, that takes effort, that takes energy. When you're successful with that, you've got to deliver that work. And that was the wall that I hit. Here I was living in Cabo with my family, making $30,000, $40,000 a month, and in many respects doing exactly what I thought I wanted to do. But when the dog caught the car, I realized this is a recipe for burnout. I'll never forget, I was listening to Ryan Holiday's book, Stillness is the Key. And it was right at this point where I was driving revenue, but I was burning out. I was overwhelmed. If I was doing good in one thing, like delivery, I was sucking in another thing, like marketing. And there's a part in that book where I'm paraphrasing here. It says something to the effect of, if you aren't taking time to think deeply about your business, who is? I don't have time to think about my business. I'm spinning so many plates. I'm overwhelmed with what I have, and I'm not thinking about where this business is going to be in 3 years. I'm not thinking about anything other than the fires I have to put out today. And I'm doing that every single day. I'm in Cabo and I'm not going to the beach. And that's because as a service provider, solopreneurship has its constraints. It will deliver on some of the promises, but if your goal is to drive 7 figures in revenue, as a service provider, you are going to cap out and you're going to have to think, how do I get more leverage in this business? How do I get to 7 figures? And for me, the aha when I read that book was, I've got to change something. So the very next day, I actually went to my office. No computer, no phone, no nothing. And I was intent on, I'm going to spend one day thinking deeply about this business. Why am I doing this? What do I want it to deliver? Where do I want this thing to go? What do I want it to deliver for me as a founder beyond the money, right? And beyond location independence. I already had that, but I still wasn't really fulfilled with what I was doing. Believe me, if you've ever done this, it's weird to sit for 8 hours with your own thoughts and no technology, no outside stimulation. The first hour is like really weird. You start like compulsively reaching for things, but you get to a point where you start thinking really deeply, like you below the surface. And for me, that was a game-changing moment because I left that session with myself and said, I need more leverage. That leverage is going to come in the form of systems and people. I need people to help me do all of the things that are necessary to keep this business running. Otherwise, I'm never going to be really fulfilled as a founder. I'm going to be delivering great work. I'm going to be getting great work, but I'm not going to be experiencing the lifestyle that I started this thing for. So I chose to start systematizing things and productizing my services, meaning selling services that were scalable, productizing actual solutions to problems rather than just selling my expertise. And I started hiring people. I started thinking about how can I remove myself from the sales process? How can I remove myself from marketing? How can I remove myself from the pieces of delivery that don't absolutely require me? And that was a game changer for my business. Not only did it uncap what I could earn, because I was able to drive far more revenue than I was able to do as a one-person business, I was also able to start getting my life back. As a founder, I was able to start enjoying what I really wanted solopreneurship to deliver. And listen, there are a lot of solopreneurs that are driving 7 figures with digital products and different business models. But as a service provider, I realized there are plateaus here. And in order to break through them and become a business owner, I've got to start using better leverage. And because of that choice, I've been able to get my time back. In fact, right now I'm on the 3rd month of a family summer trip for the 2nd year in a row. These are the things that I simply couldn't do if I was trying to do it all alone. If you were hitting that wall, if you're burning out, if you are feeling overwhelmed as a service provider, as a solopreneur, it may be time to take a step back, think deeply, say, what is it that I really want this business to deliver beyond just being my own boss and making some money? What is it going to take to get there? What are the forms of leverage that I can use, like capital, like systems, like code and media and people, to get to where I really want to get? Solopreneurship is great for a particular season, because for me, solopreneurship was a phase. It was helpful to get me to a point where I said, all right, I'm ready to move on to the next phase of entrepreneurship. I hope this video on solopreneurship has been helpful. If it has, you might want to check out some of the stuff we have on productizing here.